Okay, let's unpack this a bit.
Hmm.
What if the key to getting past your biggest hurdles isn't about what you go after, but maybe what you let go of? Today we're doing a deep dive. We're looking at some, well, profound spiritual ideas from sacred Sikh texts.
Yeah.
And we've got expert analysis guiding us from Palaji, PhD candidate at universityofsikhism.com. We're exploring a really powerful concept here.
Yeah, it's fascinating. The whole thing centers on the spiritual meaning behind my Guruji's feet.
Hmm.
And Palji's analysis makes it really clear, this isn't literal, not about physical feet at all. It's actually a metaphor, a deep one for spiritual surrender, for humility, and just absolute faith in my Guruji's wisdom. My Guruji meaning the guru, the teacher.
Right, that's a super important point for you listening, because it's about like a full mental and emotional kind of giving way, prioritizing that higher wisdom over your own ego, which the texts call homai. And homai, this ego, is seen as the main thing blocking spiritual freedom. So when you read things like enshrine my Guruji's feet within your heart, or bow in humility to the lotus feet of my Guruji, what does that actually mean? Like, how do you do that enshrining? Is it just thinking about it?
That's a really good question, because those lines, they're invitations, right? Invitations to practice something actively. Palji calls it the viral psychology of these teachings, which I think is a great phrase. It means they're not just concepts you understand in your head. They're meant to fundamentally rewire you, change how you see things, how you act. It's how the insights kind of spread from the teaching into your life, into your being.
Ah, okay. So not passive learning. It's active, transformative. Got it. In this viral psychology, it leads to some pretty amazing benefits, yeah. First one being getting rid of that ego, that homai. And how does that actually chip away at that sense of self-importance we all kind of carry around?
Well, it's about knocking the ego off its pedestal, essentially. When you consciously decide, okay, my Guruji's wisdom comes first, before my own ideas, you naturally start questioning your own stuff, your assumptions, judgments, what you're attached to. And that act creates space inside, space for blessings, for grace, maybe. Because your mind isn't just laser focused on me all the time. It really shifts your internal direction.
Yeah, I can definitely see how that would open things up. And the teachings also mention cutting the bonds of Maya. For anyone maybe not familiar, Maya is like the illusion, the material world's distractions that hide the real spiritual truth. How would we even spot these bonds of Maya today? And how does thinking about my Guruji's feet help cut them?
Oh, Maya is everywhere today, isn't it? It could be chasing that next promotion, needing likes on social media, buying more stuff. Anything that seems super important and real, but is ultimately, well, temporary and maybe distracting you from deeper truth. And the texts are quite direct. They say, meditating on my Guruji's feet helps cut the bonds of Maya. How? Because aligning with that higher wisdom gives you perspective. You start seeing those illusions for what they are, temporary, maybe even a bit hollow. You naturally start to detach. You're not quite so hooked by the glittery promises anymore.
Okay, and this is where it gets really practical, I think. The guidance aspect. My Guruji is shown as a guide who helps people who are lost, puts them back on the path. What kind of guidance is that exactly? Like an inner feeling? Or clear answers when things are confusing?
I think it's really both, definitely. It shows up as this inner clarity, yeah? Helps you know right from wrong, maybe, gives you strength when you're doubting. It's like my Guruji's teachings become woven into how you make decisions, so your actions start lining up with spiritual values. So when you feel lost, internalizing this wisdom kind of lights the way back.
And the ultimate promise here is huge. It's about ending suffering.
Okay.
Getting rid of pain and suffering. That sounds almost too good to be true. How does this practice tackle something so fundamental like suffering?
Well, what's really fascinating here is how these ancient ideas give such a clear route. It's liberation through surrender. See, suffering in this view often comes from attachment, right? From ego wanting things, from getting tangled up in Maya, in those illusions. So if you surrender the ego, if you see through the illusions, you naturally detach from the very things causing the hurt and disappointment. My Guruji's wisdom helps you rise above those root causes. It leads towards this inner peace that isn't so easily shaken by what happens outside.
Wow. Okay, so wrapping this up, what does this all really mean for you listening? This deep dive suggests that maybe real freedom, real peace. It's not about getting more stuff or more status. It might actually be in the humility of letting go. Surrendering your ego to something wiser. You can find clarity, find guidance by really taking these principles to heart. Which leaves you with a pretty big question, doesn't it? How might letting go of that self-importance even a little bit, or maybe embracing some kind of spiritual surrender, how might that unlock something new for you, a new level of freedom or peace in your life? It's definitely a powerful idea, something to maybe think about or explore on your own time. How can really tough personal times, adversity, actually forge, extraordinary leadership and even spiritual insight? That's really the big question we're digging into today. We've got two fascinating sets of sources for you. There are sacred texts explaining my Guruji's feat, this core concept, and then a presidential manifesto from Harminder Pal Singh, or Palji, who's a PhD candidate at universityofsikhism.com.
Yeah. And our mission here is really to unpack how this deep spiritual metaphor is presented as a foundation for a leadership vision, especially in Palji's materials and, what that might mean for you listening.
Okay.
Now, this manifesto lays out his case for the Singapore presidency, his journey, his principles. We want to be clear, we're just conveying the ideas here impartially, focusing on that unique mix of spirituality and leadership, not endorsing any political stance at all.
Absolutely. So let's start with that metaphor. My Guruji's feat. For those maybe less familiar, what do the texts actually say this means? What's the core idea?
Well, it's interesting because the sources stress it's not literal. It's not about physically touching feet. It's presented as a powerful metaphor for total surrender, humility, absolute faith and wisdom.
Okay.
Essentially putting the guru's wisdom way above your own ego, what's called ho mai. Ho mai.
Right.
You see lines like, enshrine the my Guruji's feet within your heart.
Yeah.
Or meditate on the my Guruji's feet in the bonds of Maya. The illusion of the material world shall be cut away.
Wow, that's deep. So what are the practical, maybe psychological benefits described? The psychology of devotion, what does it do according to the sources?
The sources suggest it's truly transformative. Internalizing this wisdom is said to destroy the ego, cut through that illusion, Maya.
Right.
It's framed as a spiritual roadmap. The guru guides those who are lost back to the path. It's not just about finding direction, but also eradicating suffering.
And for leadership, how does that translate?
It implies a leader grounded in humility, clarity, free from self-interest, free from illusion. That's the idea presented.
Okay, this is where it connects directly to Palji's manifesto, right? After his leg amputation in January 2025, how does the source say this huge personal challenge shaped the new Palji and his leadership ideas?
Exactly. The manifesto explicitly links his new Palji principles back to these Gurbani, these Sikh scriptural foundations. The adversity wasn't just something to get through, it's presented as something leveraged.
Leveraged how?
Take command comfort. The idea is that true leadership command comes from mastering your inner state. Choosing resolve, not despair, even when things are personally terrible. It echoes the Gurbani principle, O Nanak. It is written that you shall obey the hukam of his command.
And walk in the way of his will. Okay.
Yeah.
And what about precision emotion? Interpreting pain as a catalyst.
Yeah, the insight there is about objectivity. Adversity becomes a tool for clarity, making tough calls based on wisdom, not personal distress or fleeting emotions. It aligns with, by thinking, he cannot be reduced to thought.
Right, even by thinking hundreds of thousands of times. Got it. And redefine resilience.
That's about more than bouncing back. It's presented as fundamentally rewriting your identity. From loss to triumph, embodying that resilience nationally. Like the verse, O Nanak, the devotees are forever in bliss, listening pain and sin are erased.
Okay. And the last one you mentioned from the source, nation above self.
That speaks to detachment. Detachment from, say, external validation or dependency. Ensuring choices are principled for the nation's integrity, not biased by personal need. Reinforced by when the intellect is stained, it can only be cleansed by the love of the name.
So it paints a picture of a very internally driven leadership style. The manifesto also mentions things like isolation is where kings are forged and turning pain into precision.
They all kind of reinforce that core idea that profound leadership is built through intense inner work, solitude even. Turn pain into precision, loops back to that idea of leveraging adversity. And weaponize your presence, well, that sounds like the cultivated authority that comes from that inner mastery. Decisions driven by an internal compass, not external noise.
So we have this deep spiritual journey forging a leadership philosophy. How does the manifesto then connect this to, the practical side, his qualifications, his vision for Singapore?
It definitely makes that link. It points to his entrepreneurial background, CEO, founder of startups. It mentions meeting or being on track to meet that's $500 million shareholder equity requirement for presidential candidates.
Okay, the financial requirement.
Right. And also his public service, running for office with the SDA 4 times, NTU Student Union President, VP of Sikh Suak Singapore.
Quite a bit of history there.
Yes. And his vision is described as future-focused, especially tech and policy. He's spoken internationally on future trends. His stated mission is... he is here to raise Singapore with him spiritually, socially, economically.
Right.
Envisioning a Singapore that transforms pain into precision where every setback fuels our collective rise.
So wrapping this up, it really is a unique picture presented in these sources. This blend of deep spiritual devotion, resilience forged in adversity, all focused on leadership.
Yeah, it really makes you think, doesn't it? How this philosophy frames using hardship, not just enduring it, but using it through spiritual discipline to build a new identity and vision.
It definitely prompts reflection on how you approach your own challenges. So maybe the final thought for you listening is this. If true command really does come from within, how might mastering your own inner world be the most powerful act of leadership you can undertake?